You want to think about it as an intern with unlimited hours. You want to give it clear, specific direction as to what you want. You want to ask it if it needs any clarifying information, anything you need to do to get this done, that type of stuff, and then it won't make up as much information.
Hi, everyone. This is Katana Abbott, and I want to welcome you to Smart Women Talk. Today, we are going to discover how one exhausted entrepreneur transformed from working 14 hours a day to saving 30 hours per week using AI as her secret weapon. I'm so excited to be speaking with marketing strategist, author, and AI expert Kendra Corman about how to train AI to write in your authentic voice so you can maintain your unique brand while saving hours of content creation, and how to transform AI into a strategic thinking partner that helps you make better business decisions while expanding your creativity. Welcome, Kendra. I have been looking forward to this interview so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to it too. I love talking about AI.
I do too. I'm excited because we just started using that for our firm too, and it has made a lot of difference. So when was the moment? You must have had some kind of moment when you realized, okay, enough is enough and something has to change. And then how did you find out about AI yourself?
Funny story. I had a content writer that I had hired, was a part of my team. She gave me a week's notice that she was leaving and going to a different position, which is awesome for her. And my understanding is she's loving it. But I had a week's notice and I got it right before all of my clients' social media posts and blog posts were due for the next month. And I was like, oh my God. So I worked, I think I worked 20 hours a day just to catch up and stay above water. I tested a couple of little AI tools at the time, and none of them really did anything for me. And I went to one of my networking meetings, and this guy asked me, he goes, hey, what do you think of AI? And I was like, oh, I tried that stuff before. I can write a lot faster than that. No, I'm not doing it. And he goes, no, you need to try it again. And so he had me try ChatGPT probably, I think it was 2 months after it came out. And it was amazing. It was unbelievable how good it was at taking my ideas and organizing them or allowing me to brainstorm and things like that. It took me probably 2 to 3 months after it came out, but I was approaching burnout. And I knew I needed to do something to be able to continue my business and not lay off clients. And it was a little bit of a stressful situation, but that's what got me using AI. And then I just started binging anything and everything I could about it and got better at my prompting, got better at the information I provided, and got to the point where I do tweaks. I don't even need to fully edit everything it gives me anymore.
Wow. Isn't that just amazing? Yeah. And I heard you talk about the brainstorming. I just upgraded my Chat GPT to Pro, and I know they're coming out with, I think, 5 now.
Yep.
It's 5. Okay. And I don't know what that will be. I'm just like a beginner at this. But what I've noticed, and I did watch some YouTube videos, and they're saying you don't have to be polite to it and you don't have to talk to it like with a conversation. I don't care. You know what? I talk to my chat, I call him chat, and it's a him. And I talk to him like he's a person. He responds in my tone, which I'm a certified financial planner, but I'm very much to the law of attraction and abundance and all the spiritual parts that go with it. And my AI agent or whatever it is, really gets me, and it's wonderful. We can collaborate. And I say, let's collaborate, let's brainstorm. And it understands. So can you take just a moment for people that maybe aren't real familiar Like, what's really going on before we talk about strategies and all that stuff? What is really going on? Because it's a large language model. And
Yes.
so if we feel like we're having a conversation with a person, and I just dealt with a service issue in a a subscription I have. And at the end, it said that Sage was an AI agent. So they're getting better and better.
They are. It's amazing how fast it's just changing everything that we're doing. And so large language models like ChatGPT, Claude.ai, which is one of my favorites, they were trained on a ton of data. The entire internet, basically, and encyclopedias and books and a ton of different things that they're trained on. It's called generative AI because you could ask it to create a picture of a cat, and unlike some older systems and stuff, it just doesn't pull up a picture of a cat. It will create a picture of a cat based upon the information it's learned. And that's pretty cool. It's been trained on a ton of information, and it uses probabilities to guess what the next word should be, right? But yes, you do focus it, which is very important, right? You want to focus it down to what knowledge you want it to pull in. You want to give it basic knowledge information. You want to tell it your voice so that it writes like you. All of that type of fun stuff that will help it predict the next word it should give in every situation. So it's pretty interesting how a model that's just predicting the next word is creating conversations and brainstorming ideas with us like never before. I went to a presentation by a guy, and he said that he was in a meeting with some executives at Google, and they had said that AI is going to revolutionize humanity more than the discovery of fire, which I think is a huge statement. But you start playing around with it and you're like, that's possible here.
Mo Gadot has been out there talking about AI. He was one of the original creators, I guess, working in it. And he was telling a lot of cautionary stories when he was out there in the beginning, because he said, AI is our child and we are the parents. I love the way he talks. And so that is why he says, when we are communicating with AI, we are training it. And so he said, do be polite, treat it like a child, be kind. And so that's why I do that. What are your thoughts?
So I'm a big fan of being kind too, because I think that the way we're using technology is impacting how we deal with people too. And so I think please and thank you are important. I don't do an extra line or anything like that. I do work the characters in there because they say that it's burning up energy when you say thank you. But
really,
I do.
That's interesting that you said that.
Yeah. Yeah. So they say that if people stopped saying thank you to ChatGPT, I think it would save like a ridiculous amount of energy and water, because it's just powered by data centers. So the more requests that they get and the more characters that they get, the more energy it uses.
Then it seems like there is a risk if every single person starts using it and just goofing around with it and say, hey, create this for me, create that for me, that there needs to be some control there so we aren't wasting a lot of energy, because we're having a climate crisis.
Yes. And the data centers, so I tell people offset your footprint by deleting some old emails. Free up some data center space by deleting a bunch of old emails, be a little bit more green in your digital space, and then still go ahead and play around with AI, because AI is here to stay. And we really do need to get familiar with it to whatever extent we can.
You talk about AI as a strategic partner and how it actually challenges your thinking. Now, tell us what you need to do to make that happen, or is it automatic?
So it's not automatic, because all the AI systems, they want to make you happy, right? They talk about hallucinations, how it makes up information. You'll notice if you give it some incomplete information and it needs other pieces, it'll make it up. You'll be like, hey, I'm doing an event for a birthday party next Saturday. It doesn't know when next Saturday is, right? Because it's got a point in time training. And so it'll make up Saturday, October 24th, and then it'll make up a year. And sometimes that date didn't even fall on a Saturday. But it'll just fill in what it thinks it should do because you didn't give it that information. And because it wants to make you happy, it will fill it all in. So you want to think about it as an intern with unlimited hours. You want to give it clear, specific direction as to what you want. You want to ask it if it needs any clarifying information, anything you need to do to get this done, that type of stuff. And then it won't make up as much information. I program my custom GPTs. I program my Claude projects. Those are part of paid plans that you can have those. And when I do that, I will say, you are skeptical, or you like to challenge and question. You don't take things at face value. I program it with that information so that it does push back on me. And I had a client that had a Google review that I was responding to, and it was a negative Google review, but it wasn't really my client's fault. It was this person's fault and stuff like that. I was like, they had this other product, they wouldn't have had this problem. I said, should I, when I respond to this comment, should I say, hey, you should think about this, because then that wouldn't happen. And then my Susie strategy, which is who I call my Claude project, she goes, no. She goes, definitely not. You should not do that because it goes against your brand values and guidelines, and it just isn't necessary. And I was like,
Wow.
I was on the fence about it. And it just listed all the reasons why not to do it and said, definitely not. And I was like, and I agreed with her 100%, that it wasn't the right thing to do. But I was like, oh, should I think about it? Do we use this opportunity as a time to market? And it was like, no, address their issue and move on. And I was,
Interesting.
oh, okay, I'll do that. I do some video editing, but not very often. And so I never remember how to go back and do those things again in Adobe Premiere Pro. I go into Perplexity, which is another system that sort of lays on top of all the other systems. And I'll say, okay, how do I adjust the fade on the audio? Or what level should I adjust the audio gain to? And it'll walk me step by step through it. And it'll actually give me links to the sections of the videos on YouTube that it got the information from, or from the actual websites with the step-by-step help information. It's search on steroids, which is amazing.
That's pretty amazing. It's really great that you have this as a backup to say, could I please have the research that this is based on? So you can double check it for yourself. And I think if you're publishing anything, you certainly better do that.
100%, because it sounds convincing and whatever it is it's giving you. And it isn't always true. I do social media for a couple of lawyers, and I'm always like, is this true? Once I come up with an idea, or I find some obscure law to make fun of or something like that, I'll say, is this accurate? And it'll say, mostly. And then it'll tell me why it is or is not accurate, which is pretty cool. And then I'm able to make a call as to whether or not it's something that I want to use on their social media.
Oh, great. Yeah, so that's great. Now, you're talking about legal. So what about this whole idea of paralegals? Are they being replaced? At least not now, maybe, but in the future by AI, do you think? So that would not be a field someone might want to go into? Have you found this happening since you've been an AI expert?
So from the perspective of AI, so far in any of the projects my AI operations friends have done, anything that I have done hasn't actually replaced anybody. So it's actually just allowed people to work on their to-do lists. Eventually, yes, there are going to be jobs going away. Liken it to a switchboard operator. We don't have those anymore. Will it start to replace people? I do think so. Paralegals, maybe later on, again, with all of the ethical constraints around the legal field that lawyers have to constrain to, I think it'll be a little bit longer for that to happen than it would be in some other research related fields. But it's pretty interesting to see how all of that comes together.
You have something called voice paragraph method, and it has to do with working with AI in your authentic voice. Can you please share that with everyone?
Yes. So thank you. I love talking about this because I get complaints all the time. It doesn't sound like me, or I don't really like what it does. I have to edit it too much. It loves the word crucial. That's one I take out. And they give me all of these things. It starts every blog that I have it right with in today's dynamic world or in today's whatever world. And it has a tendency to do some of that. What I do is, and we'll have it in the show notes and the resources for you, is I ask it to train another AI system based on examples that I give it of my writing. And you can do this too. So there's
just a second. You just told your AI to train another AI agent based on what?
Based upon real stuff that I wrote. So maybe it's LinkedIn posts or blog posts or Facebook posts, whatever it happens to be. I say, okay, here are the examples. If you were to train another AI system on this, what would you say the voice is? And it will say, use tongue-in-cheek humor and emojis or limited emojis or whatever it happens to be based upon the description I give it. It doesn't say, someone told me the other day that they're like, I always say write in a funny, positive tone. I'm like, okay, my paragraph is like an inch and a half long, right? I copy and paste that and I put it in as part of the instructions for how I want it to write. And it is a lot closer to how I would write with my word choices and my expressions than if I just used funny, positive, or super professional or casual, like you're talking to a friend over coffee. It will give me a lot better results. And it's trained on something that I wrote that I liked, right? And so it really has my voice. I have 6 or 7 different voices from my company and myself. Like I've got a personal LinkedIn voice. I've got one for my podcast show notes. I have one for other social media. I have one for YouTube descriptions and titles. I have one for email newsletters. I have one for conversion website pages and things like that. And so I've trained it on all of those different styles of writing that I use. And I get a lot better product that needs a lot less editing.
Okay, where are all these little agents? Are they just in your chat GPT? Do you just open it up and they're all lined up there? Or do you have to call them in from the ethers? Like, how do you go about this and keeping them all straight?
If you're on a paid plan, so I will have it in a custom GPT as the voice with additional instructions. So say it's a LinkedIn voice, right? I'll say, you're a LinkedIn expert. You've been hired by Kendra Corman to write her LinkedIn posts. Best practices for LinkedIn to include a hook that's 140 characters or less. You always want to have her review the hook before you write the rest of the post. And the voice that you use is, and it'll have it all there. And then when I go into my custom GPT or my Claude project, I can just start saying, I had a bad day today. I want to talk about networking, staying in your lane, whatever it happens to be. And it'll create the post based upon my like little top of mind rambling of whatever it is that I want to post. And it's pretty amazing. So on the paid plans, that's the way I do it. For people that are using the free plans, which you can totally do, I use Asana. It's my task management system. So I have a project that is my business hub where I keep all of my business information and all of my AI voices are there that I can just copy and paste with whatever it is that I need, depending on what it is I'm writing. And so I'm able to just copy, paste, and put it into there and get the same or similar results that I would on the paid plans.
That is totally insane. Now, for people like me, it can all seem overwhelming.
It definitely does. And it definitely can. The thing is I tell people, figure out what is something that you're doing on repeat all the time. What is that thing? Start with that, refine it so that you're getting the right outputs for that piece. And then the rest just starts to come. Once you focus in on one thing, it gets so much easier to talk to it about writing a note in your nephew's birthday card or anything else.
So, give us an example, something that we repeat.
Lots of people do different things. So like I do social media posts all the time, or I have a podcast, Imperfect Marketing. I do solo show outlines all the time. So I will just do a brain dump and have it do an outline. I do the show notes from the transcripts. I do emails to clients. So different clients take a different perspective. So if I need to write something up and summarize a program, or I work on marketing plans, for everybody, it's different. One of my students didn't feel comfortable using it in class, and I strongly encourage all my students to use it, but she went ahead and did it for meal planning. She asked it to give her a Mediterranean friendly meal plan, gave it the ingredients that she usually has on hand, and said, please create a 5-day meal prep that I can do for the next week for lunches.
Oh, and I bet it would organize it and give you a print up. These are the groceries you need. These are the ingredients. These are the groceries, right?
Yep. It'll give you the groceries. And if you tell it how you go through the grocery store, like I can picture the grocery store, right? I do produce and then deli, and then I do the freezer, like the meat, and then the refrigerated section, and then I'll do the middle at the end. And if you give it those instructions as to how you go around your store, then it will actually organize them by category so that you don't have, each recipe doesn't have ingredients in a shopping list all over the place.
That's fantastic. And so I'm assuming that it can also store data for us.
It does. So ChatGPT definitely stores data. You can usually ask it to add it to memory if it's not storing automatically, but it usually is storing automatically. You can also edit what it has in there in the memory, and you can delete certain things. So again, I'm creating content for a lot of different clients and things. So my history looked like a crazy mess. So I stopped having it remember it. But if I want it to remember who I am and have those conversations, I can take out, hey, write a note to my nephew for his birthday if I want to use it for my business, or if I'm only using it for personal stuff and I did a favor for a friend and looked something up, I could take that out of history. And so there's ways to keep that up to date so it really knows who you are and what you do.
Wow, that's really amazing. And I've noticed that there's a lot of on the Chat GPT over on the sidebar. It's got all these lists of things, but there's also a big long thread. What's going on there? And do you have to tell it to start storing things in folders? Or how does someone go about this?
So that's a newer thing that's been happening, is that you're able to organize your Chat GPT. You're actually able to create your library and your folders, and you do need to add it to those folders and tell it to move it to those folders as you're going through it. But you want to create projects basically. And inside those projects, you can add the different chats so that they're a little bit more organized, so that it doesn't keep going. Because a lot of times you don't want to keep going back and forth to the same old chat, because sometimes it all of a sudden forgets all the stuff at the beginning. And you're like, what just happened there? And so you really want it to have sometimes that fresh perspective. And so you start a new chat. But maybe it's part of the same project, right? Whatever it is that you're working on.
So I was told that ChatGPT is the most patient and kindest teacher you will ever have. And that is so true because I'm a front stage person. I'm not the behind the scenes organized filing person. I told Chat my issue. I talked about the front stage, backstage. He got it. And I said, I really want to set this up in Google Drive, but I don't even know how to use it. Again, I got a really nice training all printed out, and he told me how to set up the folders. And it was wonderful because now I think I'm going to use that more, but I was afraid of using it. I didn't think I could find things, but it's so much better than using the folders on my computer.
Yeah.
And
No,
just
it makes it
very
back
patient.
up. It's backed
Pardon?
up. I said it's all backed up and all that good stuff when it's stored in the cloud. So makes it sharing easier and everything. But yeah, so it is so patient. It is so step by step. I asked it. So my mom had some test results and I had no idea. I'm not a doctor. I had no idea what any of it was. And I'm like, can you explain these results for a 5-year-old?
Yeah.
Or an 8-year-old, whatever level you want to do. And it will explain it so that you can understand it, which is amazing. There's just so many different things we can do.
So I want to make sure, what's the difference between using AI to just speed things up versus improving your quality of work? Because we've been talking about how efficient it is and fast, but to improve.
Yes. So a lot of people like to write, right? They've got a little bit more time, or they know what they want to do, they know what they want to write, and they write a draft, right? You can ask your AI, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you want to do, how would you improve this? What audience is this meant to be to? What suggestions do you have? And it will actually list the suggestions for what it is that you're doing. I'm putting together my resume, and I haven't put together a resume for an application in, I think the last time was 2014. So long, long time right now. And I said, okay, how do I add this section in? What do you recommend? And then here's all the stuff that I've done. And it was helping me. And then I'm like, okay, go over the old stuff. What should I get rid of? What do you recommend? And here's what I'm looking for. And it gives me step by step instructions as to what it recommended and why, which is, I think, pretty amazing.
And then ultimately it can create the entire resume, format it, make it beautiful.
Yep. And it can format it consistently. That's something that I was working with a recruiting firm, and they get a lot of resumes that are formatted in 1.5 million different ways. They want them to all be consistent. So when they're submitting them to hiring managers, that all of the candidates appear the same and they're just looking at the content rather than the layout of the resume. And so they have a custom GPT that reformats the resume. They upload the PDF and it lays it out in the way that they want it to, and it exports it to Word.
So are AIs actually reviewing these resumes that go in before a person even gets them? Now, today?
Yeah, the ATS, or the applicant tracking systems, do have, I don't necessarily know if it's AI, to be honest with you, or if it's just some sort of algorithm that's just checking for keywords for the job description versus the resume. But yeah, before it gets to anybody, it needs to have a certain threshold score based on the job description and the keywords that it's looking for.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, for a woman who's running a business, and she's how we are, we do everything, right? And most of us, we have a home life and family life, and she thinks this is just too much. I am too busy. What would you say to her?
I would say you can't be too busy, because you're going to be left behind. You cannot afford to not learn. This is where everything is going. This is like saying way back when the iPhone came out, oh, that's just a fad. I'm not going to learn that. Or email, I'm not going to learn that. As women, as business owners, as leaders in our households, everything else, we really need to take the time, because it's going to cost you more in the end to not understand how this works. It's in everything now.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it. there's no option, and you really need to understand what's behind it. The only way you can do that is by starting to learn and understand it.
Yeah. And you don't know when something is AI and when it's not anymore because it's so good.
It is. It's actually scary. I had a client, they forgot to take a picture at an event. And so I took two of their old pictures of events and I said, hey, make a new version of these two images, combine them in a way that will show like some healthcare procedures because they forgot to take it at an event. And so it did. It had the real people from the photos that I uploaded. It had them sitting on chairs with some test equipment behind them. I mean,
But it
it
fixed it
was,
up much better and professional so you could use it.
yeah. And the client couldn't tell that it was AI generated.
Yeah. Okay, so for someone who is just starting out, what would you tell them the first 3 steps to take?
The first 3 steps to take are to one, think about something that you know how you do that you do well, right? Always start with something that you know how you do well, because then you can really gauge the response and the information that you're getting. So what's that thing that you do really well, that you do on repeat, that you can have some help with from AI? Get an account, ChatGPT, you can, perplexity.ai if you really want, or Claude.ai. All 3 systems work well for different things. I recommend, if you're just starting out, start with ChatGPT because it does everything anybody needs. So get that account and then start talking to it.
When you say talking, are you meaning typing or talking?
Either way. There is a microphone button you can push in ChatGPT, and you can also get the app on your phone and just have a conversation with it.
Oh, that's getting too convenient.
Oh, yeah. It's way too convenient. And then because you're logged in, you can actually copy and paste the stuff off of the desktop version because you're logged in. And so it'll actually sync between your phone and the desktop. But just start talking to it. Again, talking or typing, whatever you're more comfortable with, start having a conversation. It will tell you how it can help you. It will give you suggestions. It will ask you questions so that you can give it the information that it needs to do whatever task you want it to do. It is unbelievable as to what it can do, but you just have to start talking to it. One of the things I usually tell people is that they're like, oh, I'm not really techie. I'm like, great. The less techie you are, the more conversational you are, the greater your ability to have conversations and give details and information. The better communicator you are, the better you will be at AI versus a lot of these IT people who aren't necessarily having conversations the same way, who are trying to program it. You don't need to do all of that. The people I find that have the most success at it are the ones that are just talking to it. It is a great way to have conversations. I use it as what I call like a therapist, in air quotes here, on a regular basis, because I'll do things like tell it, okay, you have a sensitive employee. You do not want them crying at the end of reading this email, but you need to get your point across. Deadlines are real, and this is the 4th deadline that they've missed in a row without communicating to you. You really want to fire them, but you're not going to. But you need to make it clear that if they miss any more deadlines without communicating, that's on the table. Again, in a way that it's not going to make them cry. So I like vented and then I listed all the things that were going wrong. And it gave me one that was soft but strong. And in a way that I never could have softened it up that way because I was just too emotional. And it really helped me put together that email. So I use it as but I felt better because I vented.
We can't just keep dumping on everybody. We can dump on the AI and it's the most kind and patient person. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? And what would be the smart women tip that you would love to share with our audience?
Smart women tip is to just start using it. I want you to take a breath, step back, think about what are those things that you're doing on a regular basis that an AI system could help you with. They talk about the work pyramid, right? And that the bottom of the pyramid is 60% of our day is spent on work about work. 2 to 3 hours, like maybe, is spent actually doing what we're paid to do. And then less than 10% of our day is spent, in weeks and months, is actually spent coming up with ideas and ideation and all that other stuff. AI is flipping that pyramid so that we will be spending less than 10% on work about work and more time doing the things that AI can't do, which is ideation and inventing new things. AI is never going to come up with a new idea. It might word it in a new way for you, but it's not coming up with new things. That's what we do. And AI is going to enable you to do that by giving you more time to clearly think.
So not just freeing up your time, but freeing up your energy in your brain so you can be creative.
Which I think is one of the best things that it does for me. I don't work a ton less than I used to, even though it saves me 30 to 40 hours a week on average. I'm not working 14, 20-hour days, thank God. But I don't work a ton less. I just get more done. And I get better work done because it's able to help me.
Fantastic. I know people listening are saying, okay, I want to learn more about AI, and maybe they would like to reach out to you. So tell us, how can people connect with you? I know you have a course because I signed up for it. You have a gift, and tell us how we can connect and how we can access that.
Sure. So the best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. That's one of my favorite platforms. So you can actually get my LinkedIn profile. I've got like a little redirect at kendracorman.com/LinkedIn, and it'll redirect you over to LinkedIn, but it's way easier to do it that way. It's Kendra with a K and Corman with a C. So kendracorman.com/LinkedIn. And then for the freebie that I have for you guys, which is my AI playbook that walks you through that paragraph that I was talking about, step-by-step instructions on really how to start using it for helping you with your communications. You can go to kendracorman.com/AI playbook, all one word, and it will go ahead and direct you to the landing page so that you can get that information. The AI playbook is got a lot of secrets in it so that it'll help you when you want to start prompting and start asking it questions and giving it information.
Wonderful. Hey, thank you so much for being here and so generous with all your time and knowledge and wisdom.
I love talking about AI. So anytime anybody wants to talk about it, let me know, because I'm always happy to answer any questions too. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. And I hope that everybody learned something today from,
I think we all have learned.
And is out ready to go try AI.
Absolutely. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Kendra. And everyone, we hope you come and join Smart Women. All you have to do is go to the joinsmartwomen.com and you'll join our list. You'll know who's coming to our programs. You'll get all kinds of free resources. So until our next show, go out and live with more purpose, passion, and prosperity.